Abraham Lincoln was once born February 12, 1809, in a single-room log cabin, Hardin County, Kentucky. His household upbringing used to be modest. His dad and mom from Virginia had been neither rich or nicely known. At an early age, the younger Lincoln Abraham misplaced his mother, and his father moved away to Indiana. Abraham had to work difficult splitting logs and different manual labor. But he additionally had a thirst for information and labored very difficult to excel in his studies. This led him to end up self-trained as a lawyer. He spent 8 years working on the Illinois courtroom circuit. His ambition, drive, and capability for difficult work had been evident to all around him. Lincoln grew to be revered on the felony circuit, and he received the nickname Honest Abe. He regularly inspired neighbors to mediate their personal conflicts as a substitute than pursue full criminal litigation. Lincoln additionally had a correct feel of humor, and used to be deprecating about his looks. "If I have been two-faced, would I be sporting this?" One work colleagues and buddies cited that Lincoln had an ability to diffuse traumatic and argumentative situations, even though the use of humor and his capability to take in positive view of human nature. He cherished to inform memories to illustrate a serious factor through the use of humor and parables. Lincoln was once shy around ladies, however after a hard courtship, he married Mary Todd in 1842. Mary Todd shared many of her husband's political questioning, however they additionally had extraordinary temperaments, with Mary extra susceptible to swings in her emotions. They had 4 children, who Lincoln used to be committed to, although 3 died earlier than achieving maturity, which brought about a whole lot grief to each parents. As a lawyer, Abraham developed a potential for rapid questioning and oratory. His pastime in public troubles stimulated him to stand for public office. In 1847, he used to be elected to the House of Representatives for Illinois and served from 1847 to 49. During his duration in Congress, Lincoln criticized President Polk's managing of the American-Mexican War, arguing Polk used patriotism and Navy glory to protect the unjust motion of taking Mexican territory. However, Lincoln's stance used to be politically unpopular, and he was once no longer re-elected. Lawyer Bram Lincoln by Byers, after his political profession regarded to be over, he lower back to working as an attorney in Illinois. However, the 1850s noticed the slavery query re-emerge as an outstanding divisive country-wide issue. Lincoln abhorred slavery and from a political standpoint wished to forestall slavery being prolonged and subsequently be phased out. He gave influential speeches, which drew on the Declaration of Independence to show the Founding Fathers had supposed to quit the unfold of slavery. In particular, Lincoln used a novel argument that even though society was once a lengthy way from equality, America need to aspire closer to the lofty assertion in the Declaration of Independence. We maintain these truths to be self-evident, that all guys are created equal. Lincoln had a sturdy ability for empathy. He would strive to see troubles from everyone's factor of view, together with Southern slaveholders. He used this thought of empathy to talk towards slavery. "I have continually idea that all guys have to be free. However, if any have to be slaves, it have to be first these who want it for themselves, and secondly, these who want it for others. When I hear each person arguing for slavery, I experience a sturdy impulse to see it tried on him personally." Lincoln's speeches had been brilliant due to the fact they drew on each prison precedents, however additionally effortless to apprehend parables, which struck a chord with the public. In 1858, Lincoln used to be nominated as Republican candidate for the Senate. He undertook a sequence of high-profile Debates with the Democratic incumbent Stephen Douglas. Douglas was once in favor of permitting the extension of slavery, if residents voted for it. Lincoln hostile the extension of slavery. During this campaign, he gave one of his best-remembered speeches, which mirrored on the divisive nature of America. A residence divided towards itself can't stand. I agree with this. Authorities can't endure, permanently, half of slave and half of free. I do now not anticipate the Union to be dissolved. I do no longer anticipate the residence to fall, however I do assume it will give up to be divided. It will grow to be all one factor or all the other. House divided. In this House divided speech, Lincoln gave a prophetic utterance to the achievable for slavery to divide the nation. Although he misplaced this 1858 Senate election, his debating abilities and oratory induced him to end up properly recognized inside the Republican Party. On February 27, 1860, Lincoln used to be additionally invited to supply exquisite tackle at Cooper Union in New York. The East Coast was once exceedingly new territory for Lincoln. Many in the target audience notion his look awkward and even ugly, however his calls for ethical readability over the wrongness of slavery struck a chord with his East Coast audience. Let us have belief that proper makes might, and in that faith, let us, to the end, dare to do our obligation as we apprehend it. Cooper Union Address. The recognition he won on the marketing campaign path and speeches on the East Coast induced him to be put ahead as a candidate for the Republican nominee for president in 1860. Lincoln used to be an outsider due to the fact he had plenty much less journey than different main candidates such as Stewart, Bates and Chase. However, after ending 2D on the first ballot, he went on to end up all at once nominated. After a hard-fought, divisive marketing campaign of 1860, Lincoln was once elected the first Republican president of the United States. Lincoln's guide got here absolutely from the north and west of the country. The South strongly disagreed with Lincoln's function on slavery. The election of Lincoln as president in 1861 sparked the South to secede from the North. Southern independence sentiment had been developing for many years, and the election of a president adversarial to slavery was once the closing straw. However, Lincoln resolutely hostile the breakaway of the South, and this led to the American civil conflict with Lincoln dedicated to keeping the Union. Lincoln amazed many by using, inclusive of in his cupboard, the fundamental opponents from the 1860 Republican campaign. It validated Lincoln's willingness and capability to work with humans of one-of-a-kind political and non-public approaches. This helped to hold the Republican celebration together. Abraham Lincoln. The Civil War used to be tons greater steeply priced than many humans expected, and at instances Lincoln regarded to be dropping the guide of the widespread population. But Lincoln's affected person leadership and willingness to work with Unionist Democrats held the USA together. Lincoln oversaw many of the Army factors of the fighting and promoted the Universal Ulysses S. Grant to command the Northern forces. Initially, the struggle used to be specially about the secession of Southern states and the survival of the Union. However, as the warfare progressed, Lincoln more and more made the difficulty of ending slavery paramount. On September 22, 1862, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation that declared the freedom of slaves inside the Confederacy. All individuals held as slaves inside any state or targeted section of a state, the humans whereof shall then be in rebel towards the United States, shall be then, thenceforward, and continuously free. Emancipation Proclamation. The proclamation got here into pressure on January 1, 1863. Towards the cease of the year, many black regiments have been raised to assist the Union Army. Gettysburg Address. Lincoln at Gettysburg after a challenging opening 2 years, by using 1863, the tide of battle started out to swing toward the Union forces, helped by way of the victory at the Battle of Gettysburg in July 1863. Lincoln felt capable to redefine the dreams of the Civil Warfare to consist of the ending of slavery. Dedicating the ceremony at Gettysburg on November 19, 1863, Lincoln declared, "For rating in 7 years in the past our fathers delivered forth on this continent, a new nation, conceived in liberty, and devoted to the proposition that all guys are created equal, that we right here relatively get to the bottom of, that these lifeless shall no longer have died and useless, that this nation, below God, shall have a new start of freedom, and that authorities of the people, with the aid of the people, for the people, shall now not perish from the earth." Abraham Lincoln, Gettysburg Address. November 19, 1863. Eventually, after 4 years of attrition, the Federal forces secured the capitulation of the defeated South. The Union had been saved and the problem of slavery had been introduced to a head. After the Civil War, Lincoln _060 by Brady _1862 Lincoln 1862. In the aftermath of the Civil War, Lincoln sought to reunite the U.S.A., imparting a beneficent agreement to the South. When requested how to deal with the Southern states, Lincoln replied, "Let 'em up easy." Lincoln was once antagonistic via extra-radical factions who desired larger activism in the South to make sure civil rights for freed slaves. On January 31, 1865, Lincoln helped pass by via Congress a invoice to outlaw slavery. The 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution used to be formally signed into regulation on December 6, 1865. Some Northern abolitionists and Republicans desired Lincoln to go in addition and put in force full racial equality on troubles of schooling and vote casting rights. Lincoln was once unwilling to do this. It used to be a minority political view for the time. Frederick Douglass, a Maine black activist, who had escaped from slavery, didn't continually agree with the insurance policies of Lincoln. However, after Assembly Lincoln, he stated enthusiastically of the president, "He handled me as a man, he did now not let me sense for a second that there was once any distinction in the coloration of our skins. The president is a most tremendous